The full moon cast an eerie light through broken windows. The air was thick with dust, and every creak of the old house echoed in the silence. Sara, a curious but cautious woman in her early 30s, walked through the dilapidated living room, flashlight in hand. She wore a worried expression as her footsteps crunched on the rotting floorboards. Her phone vibrated in her pocket, but she didn't check it. "You shouldn't have come here. You should have listened to Mark," she whispered to herself. She took a deep breath, shaking off the fear. No turning back now. The flashlight flickered as she moved, its beam jerking around to reveal faded photographs on the walls. Children playing, families smiling, but all their eyes had been scratched out. She shuddered, unnerved. The kitchen was covered in grime, and old, cracked dishes were scattered on the counter. A strange, musty smell filled the air. Sara paused, hearing a faint noise in the distance. A whisper, barely audible. "Help me." She froze, her eyes wide. She scanned the room but saw nothing. Her heart thundered in her ears. "Who's there?" Silence. She took a step forward, but the floorboards creaked loudly beneath her, as if something was shifting underneath. Suddenly, the flashlight died. She tapped it desperately. "Come on, no! No, no." The flashlight flickered back on, but its beam was weak. She backed away slowly, heart racing. Another whisper echoed through the room. "Help me, Sara." Sara's face went pale. She didn't recognize the voice, but something about it felt all too familiar. "Who is that? What do you want?" The light flickered again, and in the dimness, she saw something shift in the corner of the room. A shadow, tall and indistinct, on the edge of the flashlight's beam. She spun around, but the room was empty. What the hell is going on? The phone in her pocket buzzed again. She pulled it out quickly, hands shaking. A text from Mark appeared. "Sara, leave. Now." "It's not safe." Her stomach twisted. She glanced around the room. The shadows now felt heavier, like they were closing in on her. The whispers grew louder. "You shouldn't have come back, Sara." The voice was guttural, menacing. The temperature dropped, and her breath became visible in the cold air. She turned toward the doorway leading out of the kitchen, but as she did, the shadow moved closer. Its shape became more defined, tall, thin, almost skeletal, with hollow eyes and a mouth that opened unnaturally wide. "Please, leave me alone," she screamed, backing away. But the shadow opened its mouth wider, emitting a low, guttural growl. The floor beneath her feet trembled, and the house groaned. The door slammed shut with a deafening bang. "No! No, no, no!" Sara ran toward the window, but it was covered in grime. She couldn't see outside. The shadows closed in around her. Panic rose within her as the whispering intensified, now coming from all directions. "Help us," they whispered. "Sara, you've come to free us." Sara spun around, her eyes wild. The shadows crawled along the walls, pulling her toward them. She screamed as the shadows enveloped her, pulling her deeper into the darkness. No, everything went black. The sun rose over the desolate house the next morning, casting a golden light on its crumbling exterior. A car pulled up to the house, and Mark stepped out, glancing at the house before checking his phone. He looked up at the window where Sara had last been seen. For a moment, he thought he saw her silhouette, standing in the window, watching him. He ran toward the house, but as he got closer, the window emptied. A chilling whisper filled the air. "It's too late, Mark. She's one of us now." Mark stopped dead in his tracks, his face draining of color. The air grew still, and the house remained silent. The whisper lingered in the wind. The darkness had claimed another soul. The end.